Welcome back to the Homeschool Library, coming to you from the Little Green Schoolhouse. As always, I'm Brad. Glad to have you aboard. So I just realized that we're already well into the first week of October, and I have done nothing to announce my intent for this month's reading event. I'd been kind of planning to participate in Occult Detective October, but I wasn't really sure yet exactly what I was going to be reading. Figured if nothing else, I would just break back into the Seabury Quinn stories of Jules de Grandin. I've got the complete series on all those. A nice, I think it's five, maybe six set of hardbacks with all of the Jules de Grandin stories. A really nice set put out. I think Nightshade Press is who put that out, if I remember right. Don't quote me. You may have seen. I know Michael K. Vaughan has done two or three videos where he'll show you that particular series. It's a great series, great videos, Michael, that you've done on those, and it's really wonderful. That I'm glad that I picked those up. And I've only gotten my way through the first two. I've started into the third, but I have yet to complete the entire series. So at first I was thinking maybe it would be a great opportunity to break into those. I know there's already several other people who are probably reading the Jules de Grandin stories, so I thought maybe if I could, I'd find something different. And as I was going through my shelves, I happened on something that I had almost completely forgotten about, and I thought, how perfect is this going to be for Occult Detective October? And I'd like to show them to you here. This is a series of three books by an author named Max McCoy. Now, Max McCoy is he's a Kansan, native Kansan, a journalist and author, has written several Westerns. So in a way, this video really kind of complements my last video talking about Western and local history, reading Westerns, that sort of thing, because not only are these paranormal detective mysteries, but they're Westerns as well, because it's me. Of course they are. Now, the first book here is Of Grave Concern. I happen to be, he actually did the book launch for this first volume right here in Dodge City. I happen to be the bartender for that book launch, which is where I got to know Max a little bit. And it's really cool. He actually autographed it there for me. I bought it right there at the book launch. Pretty neat. He even wrote a little tombstone there, 1877, little crow, kind of a little doodle there as part of the autograph. So that's a treasure there. And as I talk about these a little bit, I want to kind of give you a background of this story because I would imagine most people aren't familiar with this series. It kind of flew under the radar, even for a lot of Max's fans. They're not his normal brand of Westerns, most of which are set in Kansas, Missouri, because that's the area that he knows. These are a lot of fun. In Of Grave Concern, we are introduced to his heroine, a woman by the name of Ophelia Wilde. Now, a little bit of background to this series because it really plays into the events, what's going on, the whole setup. In the early 1870s, and this is true history here. In the early 1870s, in the southeast corner of Kansas, there was a family of serial killers. Maybe you've heard the name, maybe you haven't. The Bloody Benders. I think there was even a movie made a few years ago, kind of loosely based on the events. The Bender family was a father and wife and their two children, John Jr. and Kate Bender. They had a little road ranch down there, a bit of a general store, kind of a way station. People could stop, pick up some dry goods for their journey, maybe spend the night, get a quick meal, and move on. And the way they had this set up is the Bender family would set the dining table up against a curtained wall. And the guest of honor slash their intended victim, they would put in the chair with his back immediately to that curtain. So that usually John Jr., during the meal, while he's completely at ease, would go in and either beat the guy over the head through that curtain, stab him, murder in some way, take him for everything that he had on him, rob him for all his valuables, and haul the body out. There was a big pit there on their property that became kind of a mass grave for all of their victims over this couple of year period. Finally, when the law eventually caught up to the Benders, they escaped. They dispersed. There were several arrests made, some questions of identity, although Kate Bender, the daughter, kind of disappeared. It's one of those great unsolved mysteries of American history. No one's really entirely sure what happened to Kate. Lots of rumors. Maybe they got her, maybe they didn't. She probably changed her name. And that was a mystery even at the time, in about 1871, 1872, when this was all going on. Also at this time, there was kind of a movement at least in the United States. I'm not sure how broad spread that was across at least the Western world. Spiritualism was kind of in vogue amongst the general populace. Mediums, very much the occult was getting popular among certain sections of society. And this is something that Kate Bender was very much into. She was telling fortunes, that sort of thing. Arthur Conan Doyle was even caught up in all of that for a time. Now, after those events, when the Bender family was dispersed and they were trying to track them all down, there was a mystery of what happened to Kate. That's when our fictional character of Ophelia Wilde pops into the story. She herself was a con artist. She had been taken in by a fake spiritualist, and she decided that, you know what, if I can't beat him, I'm going to join him, maybe make a little bit of money at this. So she got into that, really got into the occult, and of course didn't know a thing about it. She was just conning people, smoking mirrors, that kind of thing. And she arrived in Dodge City, was actually mistaken for Kate Bender. She kind of matched the physical profile. She was into spiritualism. And when she wound up kind of conning the wrong people, these guys out here in Dodge City, they took advantage of her, or they took advantage of the moment. I might not want to say it that way. And they caught her, and in revenge, they took her out to Boot Hill, and they buried her in a freshly dug grave that was supposed to be filled the next day. They buried her alive in this grave on Boot Hill, quite possibly the most disreputable burial ground that existed in the American West, if not all of American history. And in the process of being buried alive on Boot Hill and digging her way free, she actually gets the ability to truly talk to ghosts. Or at least they see the opportunity to talk to her, which she doesn't particularly enjoy to begin with. But eventually these ghostly spirits that are now aware that she can see and hear them, they use her to solve their murders. Kind of the ghost solving a murder trope that's been done in a lot of supernatural fantasy and mysteries, but I've never ever seen that done in a Western before, and it's really, really cool how it all plays out. I won't go much into it further there, although she does get caught up with a bounty hunter, and they set up their own supernatural or occult detective agency right there on Front Street in Dodge City. So if you're a fan of occult mysteries, the supernatural, Westerns, it all, this is going to be a really fun read. It works really well even as a historical novel because Max, being a Kansan, he spent a lot of time out here. He knows the area. He knows the history. When you read this and it gives you the people that were just living in Dodge, even the street names, the businesses, that's all real. I'm very much into this local history. That's what I do, very much who I am. So as I read this, it really does feel like you're walking the streets of 1877 Dodge City. Max puts you there. So it's a great read for anybody who's into any of that sort of thing. Volume 2 here which came out the next year. And these are all about 15 years old now. I think 2013, 14, and 15. Yes, this one was 2014. The Spirit is Willing. That is the second volume in this trilogy. In this one, she's got already her own agency, their own Front Street of supernatural mysteries. She's still kind of trying to prove herself of whether this is still just a big con or if she is, in fact, the real McCoy. Max McCoy, the author. I don't know if he did that on purpose, but that's kind of funny now that I think about it. This one involves a spirit photographers and haunted paintings. There's even a haunted library book in this one as she goes about through her adventure. Old timers dating back to the California Gold Rush come into play. Again, it's a great Western. It's a great supernatural mystery. I don't know if I like this one quite as well as the first one, but it's a really fun, really solid read. Again, this book launch was also done right there at Dodge, and I wasn't working that event, but I did pop in just to get my copy of the second book, and he autographed this one for me as well. So these are treasures. They really are a lot of fun to have in my collection. And the third volume here, which is the last of the three, I have not yet read. By the time this one came out, there was so many other things going on that I didn't actually jump on this one. And it's been 10 years now. And I thought, you know what? Where better to revisit the first two and complete it with volume 3 than for Occult Detective October. This one is called Giving Up the Ghost. I don't know what this one is about. The tagline here on the back, Messages from Beyond, from sea to shining sea, the invention known as the telegraph would tame the American frontier. But for psychic detective Ophelia Wilde, the Wild West is about to get wilder. So I guess we're going to find out what the telegraph has to do with the occult in volume 3 here of the Ophelia Wilde Paranormal Mystery Series. I'm really looking forward to getting back into these and getting the whole series read. That's probably all I'm going to have time for this month. So I'll keep you posted as we go through and leave you a review. I'm curious to know if anyone has ever seen these books before. If you have you read them? What'd you think? Please let me know in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Have a great month of October. Catch you later.